Oh, good morning. Good morning. So if you can hear me, you can say hi on the chat. You can say hi on the chat. Good morning. I'm so happy to see all of you ready to learn. Karibuni sana. My name is Regina Kimori. I'm ready for our discussion today. We're going to take 1 hour. It's just talking about the tax trends and the recent changes that are happening. So these are taster of the webinar that we're going to have next week. So let me see a hi on the chat so that I know that you're here so that we can move on. Okay, I'm using WebEx. No, I'm using Teams. And this has been one. I'm learning how to use Teams. So, and I can't see the messages. My co-host, you can help me on that. I can't be able to see the messages. I would love to see them so that I can ask a question. So also you can share with me where you're watching the webinar from. And if this is your first time, I welcome you here. We always have these tax trainings every month, the webinars every month. So my co-host, you can help me. Yeah. So good morning. You can share the link. You can tell somebody that you're online so that they can come in. I can't see my chat. So that they can come in and they can be So apologies for that. Let's continue. I don't know, we're still finding your chats. So we still find them. The app is not we're unable to access them. But you can talk to me on the question and answer. Yeah. I apologize. I told you I'm learning Teams. This is the time I'm learning Teams. We've been using Zoom and WebEx, so I'm still getting this. The second month I'm using it. I'm still getting a hard time trying to navigate. So right now I cannot be able to see your chats, but you can use a question and answer. If you look at the next one, there's a question and answer. You can use that one. With that one, I can be able to see. So tell me a hello on the question and answer, and I see if we can be able to see you. So if this is your first time, I say welcome you. I really welcome you. You can follow us on Facebook, RWK and Associates. And every month we always have these webinars. You can come and learn. The webinars are free of charge. We talk about taxes. We talk about how to make your business, how to save on tax. We talk about bookkeeping and audits and so many things. So you can be able to learn, and the learning is free of charge. So with that, I think because of time, let's start off. Let's start off with the webinar for today. I promise you something very, very interesting as always. I can see a new post. Let me see if I can be able to access. Okay. Okay. So I can see a bit of highs. Okay. So you can use the question and answer for you to be able to talk to me as I try to navigate how I can be able to get the charts. So can you see my screen? I'm hoping you can be able to see my screen. I'm hoping you can be able to see my screen. So we have a segment every month where we talk about tax trends. And the reason why we do this is because there's always a lot of issues that are happening, and the tax has become extremely revolving. There's so many things that are happening, and we want to keep you updated on all the issues that are happening. So this is a unique segment that you keep to learn, to see what is happening. And for you and your business, you're able to model your business according to the issues that are happening. And I know some of you have been watching the news, you've been looking at what KRA is doing. I'm going to talk about some of those things. And also there's so many taxes that are being determined at the tribunal and the ADR at the courts that shape the precedence of other cases. So it is very important also to understand the determination of some of those cases, because they set they set standard even for your business, how you're operating. So I'll talk about those, and let's proceed. So my name is Regina Kengori. I always do this, and yeah. So I'm going to talk about ETIMS very briefly on the trends. But on ETIMS, I'm going to train you on understanding ETIMS coming Friday. That will be date 19th. So we have a webinar on 19th, understanding ETIMS. It will be 2 hours. I'll give you the nitty-gritties of ETIMS. But today I'm going to talk about trends in ETIMS. And then housing levy, I'll talk about housing levy and so many things for it, debt benefit, deemed interest, anything new. I'm going to talk about them. E-filing, the outer population, and where we are as per now. I know some of you got a hard time last month auto-populating that data. So we'll talk about this month, and I hope you've been able to auto-populate your data and check it. So I'll talk about that. And then the recent tax cases, I mentioned that there are cases that are being determined every month, and it is very important for you to understand. I have 2 cases, and I'll talk about them. So let's talk about eTIMS. So eTIMS deadline has lapsed. So all along, we've been talking about 31st of March, and 31st of March came and lapsed. What does it mean for your business? So, and what does it mean now that your eTIMS compliant, or some of you that are not already on eTIMS? What does this mean? And I've said on Friday, I'll talk about everything about eTIMS, the nitty-gritties, the system, the software, everything. So adherence of eTIMS protocol will be necessary to ensure tax deductibility of business expense and avoid tax 30% corporation tax liability. What do I mean? When we started eTIMS, I'm going to give you history about eTIMS and ETR and TIMS and the difference on Friday. But today, it means when you are on eTIMS, KRA introduced eTIMS to see our sales. So when they were able to capture the corporations, the companies that were VAT registered for eTIMS, they later stated that every business should be on eTIMS. How are they ensuring that every business is on eTIMS? Is by stating that all our purchases, if our purchases are not on eTIMS, they are going to be disallowed. So that is now where they insisted that every business has to be eTIMS. For sure, you are using your eTIMS very well to cover your sales. But for your purchases, it was not a must for you to have an eTIMS compliant invoice for your purchase. But when now every organization and every business has to be eTIMS compliant, means that all your purchases has to be eTIMS compliant. And if they are not, they are going to be deducted. So it means when you're having your purchases beyond your supplies and your expenses, fuel, rent, everything has to be eTIMS compliant. If it is not, it is going to be deductible. So that's what it means. So if you're having fuel, you have to get an eTIMS invoice. If you're going to a supermarket, you have to get an eTIMS invoice. If you're buying lunch and you're getting supplies, burger, vegetables, and tomatoes for your cooking, they have to be eTIMS compliant. Otherwise, that purchase will be null and void. So that is the eTIMS protocol. So going forward this year, every purchase that you're going to make has to have the eTIMS compliance. And eTIMS also, they also introduce eTIMS to non-VAT. Right now, you don't have to have VAT for you to be eTIMS compliant. So there's eTIMS for non-VAT. So that Mama Mboga can be able to generate an eTIMS invoice at ease. There's also eTIMS Lite, the *22# that you're doing it on your phone. So that Mama Mboga cannot tell you that we cannot give you an eTIMS invoice because we are not registered. That room is no longer there. The eTIMS has been made so simplified that even that Mama Mboga can be able to generate an eTIMS for you, an eTIMS invoice for you. So making sure that all your purchases are eTIMS compliant, because that is where we are headed. That next year we're going to have so many audits on this. So all your purchases that will not be on eTIMS are going to be disallowed. They also stated that by 31st March, when you get eTIMS, you're supposed to go back for 3 months and incorporate your sales on eTIMS. incorporate your purchases and make sure that your purchases are also ETIMS compliant. So it doesn't mean because you've been operating 3 months. Now, let's start from now. It also stated that the last 3 months, you have to ensure that even those 3 months are ETIMS compliant. Business must prepare to pre-populate tax returns under ETIMS, where manual data input may longer be permitted for filing. So these are also changes that happened last year that KRA stated that going forward since January, they are going to pre-populate, they are going to do pre-filing for us because now ETIMS is enhanced. ETIMS has covered your sales, it has covered your purchases, so it can be able to reconcile that VAT return. And we know that what happened last month, that's a story that some of you, when you auto-populated, the data was everywhere. The sales had problem, the purchases had problem, and KRA stated that they were going to use the auto-population. And that was a hassle for sure. And I know some of you lobbied, some of us lobbied for our clients. And until the system was reopened at around 4 for our filing. But going forward, it is a signal that you are getting to hard times, that you have to use the auto-population data, and that auto-population data has to work without fail. So what does it mean right now? Right now, the system is able to watch if you get your purchase, if you auto-populate today is the 12th. We have 8 days. And by the way, because I've always mentioned that we do these returns on time, then the 20th return, the VAT return gives you 20 days from first of the following month, you can auto-populate that data. Until 20th, on 20th, when we are closing the time that now the auto-population is there and you can't figure it out, that we are not there in now. The last minute filing is not you. We've left that space. So if you're doing the VAT filing, you have to do it by 5th, by 10th, so that you avoid those issues. So today, auto-populate your data. If you auto-populate your data, at the moment, is able to capture sales very well. Unlike last month, we also saw that the auto-population was unable to capture some of our sales properly. But right now, this month, the ones that we've been able to sample, the data correction for sales is a bit better. Then the purchases, if you miss out on purchase and you have an ETIMS invoice, you can be able to manually input. So that window was not there last month, and I'm happy that that window is now there. So if you have an invoice, a purchase invoice, or a purchases receipt that is ETIMS compliant, you can be able to manually incorporate it and the system will accept. You know, at the end of the system, when you say validate, sometimes it will reject those purchases. But at the moment, it can be able to accept. And it is accepting on several terms. If that customer has been able to declare on their side. So is it a valid ETIMS a receipt or invoice? If it is a valid one, and the customer who gave you, the supplier who gave you, they also were able to incorporate your buyer's PIN and every detail, then the system is able to pick. If those details are not there, you have to go back to your supplier and tell them this invoice is not going through. So I'll talk more about that area come Friday. Businesses will need to ensure meticulous tax record keeping to avoid penalties and disputes with KRA over excessive assessment under ETIM system. Now, we are in levels of bookkeeping. Operating your business out of briefcase, you don't even have an accounting system, you're in manual records. Through ETIMS, that section we have left. The same way we have left filing on 20th. It means because ETIMS compliance is going to bring a lot of tax issues. You have to keep your book and your records straight. You have to have your sales records very well. You have to have your purchases records and expenses records very well. Otherwise, you will not survive the audits that are going to be raised under items. So that if in future you have a purchase, that purchase record did not go through and you've been given a window that you can tell your supplier, because your invoice is not going through, issue a credit note, then reissue the invoice. So record keeping will be very important. Real-time transmission of transaction data under items will facilitate accurate tax monitoring and timely insurance of tax demands. So the tax KRA want to get to that level that they can issue a VAT assessment. They can issue an additional assessment without hassle. They have your sales, they have your purchases, they have your expenses. They have everything that they would need even to audit you. So that is the levels that they want us to go. Automation of the VAT registration based on the revenue. All transactions likely to be subjected unless exempted. So automation of VAT registration. So for you to be VAT registered, and this is now the place where I talk about, especially people that were not doing filing at all. We have a full group of people that were not doing filing. But now, for them to sell and for them to do business, they're being told that they have to be items compliant. And for instance, I'll give an example of farmers. So farmers that have been told by their companies, for instance, if you're supplying avocados to a company, they have told you, you have to give us an items invoice for you to be able to supply. Because that is where we are. Companies are now saying you have to give us the items invoice. So for you, because you've never done this, and I've showed you how to do the *222# and you issue an invoice, possibly it's just one invoice per month. It means that KRA is monitoring your sales. Even if you're not doing filing, actually if you're doing items non-VAT, you're not doing filing every month, but they are capturing data. So by the time you hit 3 months, 5 months, 1 year, first of all, you can no longer file a nil return. So while our nil, at just for Regina file nil return is no longer applicable. You've been using items. So that data of items has to have bookkeeping. So if you supplied avocado worth 5 million, 6 million the whole year, then you have to do bookkeeping. And your bookkeeping also, the purchases that you're going to share there and the expenses has to be items compliant. Then for you that you've been doing avocados that are exempted, and you've been doing stationaries, you've been doing supplies of some things, and you're not VAT registered. The moment you hit 5 million threshold, the system, the eating system, even if you're non-VAT, will be registering you automatically. So they'll be able to monitor your sales. So the non-filing and you have business income will no longer be applicable. Validation of VAT return declaration against items data will prevent business from claiming non-items invoices for tax purposes. I've talked about that. Non-compliance with the items may lead to heightened audit activities. There'll be so many audit activities. Come next year. This year, we are just running a system. 2023, we are just running a system, understanding the system. And even you as an organization, this is a time to know what is the implication of items in our organization. Kenya Kwanza government insisted that by the time 5 years are over, our organization will be 90% compliant. Tax compliant. Are you there? So can you have that discussion? Because this is the heighten of things, that everything has to be black and white on the business that we're doing. So can we be tax compliant and still make profits? That is the discussion that you should have as an organization. Greater visibilities of compliance metrics through e-teams is expected to promote greater tax compliance. There will be live transaction of data transmission to KRA. So the automatic invoice reconciliations will be there, generating facilitation of estimated of corporation and installment taxes. So KRA will even be able to tell you that corporation tax you're supposed to pay this much, installment tax, VAT. So that is where we are headed. Before I talk about something else and not items, because I'll talk about more on items on Friday. As an entrepreneur, there's a lot of involvement on items that requires you to really understand it very well. Another thing that they want to introduce, and something that will also change how we do business, is the reverse invoicing framework. Now, this how it is working is small and micro businesses ventures are saying, I don't know how to use items. So you want to buy from this person, but they're telling you, I don't know how to use items. I'm not items registered. They're giving you stories. And for you as an organization, you want to cover your purchases. You can do reverse invoicing framework where you as the buyer can initiate an items invoice. Can you imagine? So giving room to say that there will be no that room of having purchases that are not items compliant. So if you needed to buy from somebody, and for sure, this is something that now this person is not items compliant and we still need to buy from them, then you yourself, the buyer, can initiate the items invoice. So reverse invoicing framework, it is happening, and the platform is meant to ensure that KRA reaches businesses. So they are going, after you issue that reverse invoice, of course, you're going to have details of this person, the PIN, the PIN number, possibly their phone number, their amount. So after you do that, even if themselves they do not do, KRA is going to follow on them. I hope we are clear on this. There's something also I have before I leave items. There's a company I saw this week actually. They supply what? They supply chicken, chicks to farmers. Then farmers breed, they buy live chicken dead, and they slaughter. You're getting the story. They slaughter. And because now they told the farmers, for you to be part of this, you have to have items. You have to have items, issue as an items invoice when you are buying, our chicks. Then when we are buying your chicken, which are full grown, we still issue the items. And they do filing. This farmer is not even doing filing. This company is doing filing. So KRA took that data of the farmers now. And these are farmers that are doing 10 million a month of the whole transaction. And now bringing them on board and telling them, we need to see your documentation, we need to audit you. And the farmers came to me and they were telling me, we want to close business. We don't want to do this business anymore. And I was telling them, there's no way out. Even if you leave this business that you've done for 10 years, you know the formula, you know how to raise a chicken, you know everything, you've learned the art. of doing this business. Now you want to leave because of ITIMs and taxes and start something new. And even that something new will still be, the ITIM will still be working on that. So for me, what I would say about ITIMs is you being able to understand how it's working, understanding the implication that is having on your business, becoming compliant, because compliance is something, and being able to know that audit is on the door. As in, somebody is watching your sales, is watching how you run in that business, is now visible that your business is growing. Having that full understanding that now there's taxes to pay. I think most of us, and when I look the difference between the micro, the small, medium, and the large taxpayers, and because as an organization, we represent all of you. We have micro, we have medium, we have large, we have extra large. And when I see organizations that thrive, the first thing that they do, they have a tax department that is very vibrant. They don't mind paying taxes. That is one thing that is very clear. They are large taxpayers. They are doing billions of turnovers. And they are saying, we want to pay taxes and still do business. I think when you incorporate such a mindset, even in your small business, then you're able to operate without pressure and without stress. Otherwise, if you don't come to that realization, you come to do calculations. Actually, we were doing calculation with the farmers, and I'll calculate to them the taxes they are supposed to pay, and then they say, let's close the business. So, but for them, they don't mind paying billions of money. They say, I pay billions of money to taxes, I make billions. So if you don't get to that, because this is a push for compliance, and it's not stopping. We started from ITIMs, we started from teams. Now we went to ITIMs. ITIMs is a point of sale. It is web-based. You have to understand it. It requires your knowledge. Even the person, and I'm going to talk about that on Friday, the person that is handling your book is not anybody. It has to be handled very, very well. Now we are having purchases that you have to understand and incorporate them there. And there's somebody who is monitoring your sales on a daily basis, then your business has to be done differently. You have to do your business differently, and so that you can survive and still make profits. So I'll talk more about ITIMs on coming Friday. I welcome you for that Friday at 10. Let's change gear. Let's talk about housing levy. So housing levy was introduced by Finance Bill 2023, Finance Act 2023, and it had so many issues. And if you remember, we even went to the street because of it. And it went off, and we said, let's relax, this was too much. But now, the issues that were raised, the legal framework, the public participation that was not done, this has been done. It has been taken back to the parliament, back to the courts, and now housing levy is back. So I guess if we got a break, possibly it was a break of 2 or 3 months. Actually, this month we did housing levy for our clients. So same way, 1.5 and 1.5, 1.5 for the employer and 1.5 for the employee. But now, one of the things that this is a public notice, and always look at this, this is the official communication of anything that KRA is doing. So we are really quick to just check. This is, even if we get here, say, until we get this is the time we can tell you this is the correct position. So one of the issues that housing levy, despite the legal framework that now has been followed, was that there was issues of inclusivity, that it did not able to cover every person on it, because it was geared towards somebody who's employed. And there are so many people that are unemployed. There are so many people who are doing business, and it was not included there. What if you also owned a house and you have a home? Why were you? So there are so many still gray areas on it. So they propose exemptions. These exemptions are not, if they're not gazetted. So until we get such a communication like this one, I'm telling you, it's not gazetted. So some of them are individuals diagnosed with terminal illness by certified medical. So there will be exemptions. So these are some of the exemptions. Residents in rural areas which hold a title deed. So this is the time to own a home. So if you don't want to do housing levy, then you should own a home. So if you hold a title deed, and of course, title deed has to be on your name. I know they will bring in some regulations on this. People engaged in agricultural farming or businesses, annual turnover less than 288. So that's about 24,000. Where the personal relief below where pay tax, but at the moment housing levy is for everybody. So also individuals with a mortgage. So if you have a mortgage, Kenyans age 50 and above who are not involved in informal business activity, any person with less than 5 years until statutory retirement, if you're about to retire. So these are exemptions, but they are not gazetted. So they have to go through the cabinet, the gazette, the whole process of participation and everything until they get to the level that they can be. And I'm very sure that this will take a long time, so that we make sure that we first they first collect the housing levy before they introduce the exemptions. And of course, these exemptions requires a lot of lobbying. So the activists, if you're not vibrant, to make sure that this happens, if the push is not there, then some of these things, they're just mentioned and they die off. So let's talk about the Social Health Insurance Fund. And as we're talking about this, doctors are not working. I don't know. But this was introduced to replace the NHIF. There's a bit of a difference. So the difference is that it is aiming to make sure there is a universal coverage. It has a bit of reduced cost for people that are not earning a lot of money. If you check, for instance, if you are informal, we are doing 500 now, you're going to do 300. But for people who are earning more, 2.75 without capping. The earlier one had a capping of 1,700. So it's very expensive. And actually, for somebody who is earning more money, I guess everything has been on you. We have housing levy that doesn't have a limit, which I think for me, we should have had that limit. So if you're earning 500,000, 400,000, and I know some of you who are not earning that money, you're like, see, they're earning a lot, then they pay more. But if you're earning more, the housing levy is on you. SHIF that doesn't have a capping, 2.75 is on you. I think that was extremely unfair. So improved quality of the healthcare, being able to go, I guess, to level 6 and level. So then for us, we thought NHIF was really working so well. So this is the new rates, and actually some organizations have been able to adopt the new rates. Actually, you can see. So if you're earning 20,000, with SHIF is a lower. But at about 50,000, the SHIF becomes more expensive. So you can imagine if you're earning 200,000, you'll be paying 5,500. And previously you are paying 1,700, which was the limit. So if you are earning $1 million, you pay more. So that is, it is supposed to be effective in July. And July is not far, and some organizations have been able to adopt. Actually, you can adopt. If your people are below 50,000, you may find that you are actually deducting them less, and you just adopt. Fringe benefit. So also this one, fringe benefit has been gazetted. So this was gazetted, I guess, this month. So the fringe benefit and dipped interest rates. Also, this has been on employee, is geared on employee. So for fringe benefit, if you've been given a loan by the employer, and the employer gives you a loan of, and possibly gives you 5%, 7% interest rate, the difference between the market rate and whatever you've been provided is a fringe benefit, and it is taxable at 16%. So the rate has been set at 16%, while as deemed interest, this is why you're getting a loan and possibly there's no even interest at all. Then the deemed interest for that loan is 15%. That is the deemed interest for that loan. So it is just making sure that the benefits that you're getting at work, there are also some taxes on them. So that is a notice. I know you have a lot of comments on the, I'm hoping you're able to talk on the Q&A. Possibly my co-host can tell me if the chats have been okay. And if you've been able to raise your questions. So the other one is the tax obligation. Also, this was a notice, and this has always been there. If you objections, if you there's an objection framework. If you go through a tax audit and you feel that you're not acquainted, all the taxes that have been raised, you are justified that there were more, there is a framework that you can use. And this is something that we also do to our client. So we can go through the objection process, should happen within 30 days. There is the objection process, there is a tribunal, there is the ADR, and all this. When I talk about tax audits, I tell you the processes and what happens at every level. This was meant to say that the objection, most of the time the objection will do objection at upper hill, mostly when an organization, you do objection, you find that it is transferred from the station level. But KRA has come up with the station levels that you can be able to do an objection. So according to that list, you can see Central, Northern Region, Nairobi Region, there's the Pension Tower, Upper Hill. That's where the central place has been. Southern Region, we have Customs House, Mombasa, that you can now go through the objection process without coming to Nairobi and being being handled at your station level, and knowing that you can get acquainted. It's not like when you get a demand, 5 million demand on your portal, and you feel like you don't have a way out. There is a way out. You can go through the objection process, and at the objection process, if they still say that 5 million you're supposed to pay, and you have documentation, you have evidence, you can still go to the tribunal, you can go to the ADR, and that is one of our core business. That's what we do for our clients, so that we make sure that tax, they are acquainted, they get fair assessments. So that's what mostly I do for clients. So if you have such a case, you can talk to us. So we have e-filing. I'll talk about e-filing come on Friday, the auto-population. And I guess I'll be talking about it on 19th when we'll be almost a day. But the auto-population is very easy. You can be able to auto-populate your data. So this is a sample invoice, sample items invoice. So the one on the, I don't know, is on the left on your side. The one I'm saying buyer's PIN. And make sure, if you're going to get this items invoice and you're going to claim, the buyer's PIN has to be there. Even in the supermarket, by the way. And they're allowing. Yes, you can go to the customer care service and tell them, input my PIN number there, and they are going to input it there. If you're going to claim, make sure that this buyer's PIN will be there. Otherwise, when you auto-populate that data, it's going to be very hectic for you. So when you receive that invoice, so you're doing purchases. And by the way, when I go to organizations that are corporate organizations, they're doing a lot of sales. They have tax accountants. And that's why we are headed. They have tax accountant in the office. That when that tax accountant gets an invoice or a purchase invoice, they are able to counter check. So you go to the iTax portal and you counter check, you scan, they can even scan before they even accept that invoice. They can scan, they have a scanner. They can scan and see if that invoice is reflecting on the iTax portal. Very important. Don't just pick it and keep it. It can be invalid. Invoice, someone just did it, but they did not complete the process, or it's manufactured Uko River Road. No Kenyans are still Kenyans. So make sure that you're able to, before you make that transaction full, before you even make payment, because this is a supplier, these are purchases that you're making, before you make that payment, verify that invoice. Very important. And you can go to the iTax portal. When you open it, has the control unit checker. It has the control unit invoice number checker. You can do the QR code. So it has 3 ways to do the checks. So if you're using the items, the point of sale, it is giving you the other one on the other side. And if you're doing the items light, I'm going to talk about those light and everything on Friday, is still giving you such an invoice. So, so when you come into auto-populate, so you log in, you come to the returns. At the return, you go to the next level. You come and say what you want, VAT, hapo chini. I know some of you know this. So I'm just pushing. And then when you select VAT, you can see down the auto-population. The auto-population, you can see VAT. I hope you can be able to see where I'm pointing. Then you can tap there and download the data. So you're going to save it in your file, like what I've done here. After you file, the document comes this way. So this is how you get the document, the data. So it has the sales. Of course, you can, because now you can also generate a Z report on your items invoice. You can be able to counter check your sales. It's very important. Just counter check the sales. And this sales is being you can see them per date, very well, per the number, everything there. And then you have your purchases. And the purchases is the biggest problem. So I'm hoping you're having your purchases files. So with your purchases files, counter check each one of them. Just counter check. So when you find that you have a purchase invoice which is not here, then you can input. And it will accept as long as it is compliant and the person who gave you completed the entire process. So previously, last month, when we were having a headache, all those purchases that were not auto-populated were not able to when we would incorporate them, were not able to, the system couldn't accept until they were able to reopen the system. So we are getting to levels that the system will be closed, totally closed. So at the moment, just learn how to do it because we are getting to that level. The rate we are running, we are getting there. So after you counter check, you come back and import the data back to the system, to the portal, to the VAT return portal. And when you import the data back, you validate the data and you file. And the entire process is complete. So I challenge you, auto-populate for the month of March and see what it provides. And so auto-populate, learn, verify the invoice prior to you making payment, verify the invoice prior you receiving it. That will really help you solve some of those issues. Let me talk about amnesty. Give me 10 minutes only. Let me talk about the amnesty. Amnesty, we are in April, so May and June. So I hope some of you have been able to understand the amnesty and being able to apply for the amnesty. This was the amnesty for penalties and interest for the period up to December 2022. So, and this was for individual, and especially some of you, I know some of you come here because of your companies, but you as a personal, do you have arrears of the system on your personal? If you have, even if they are 20 years, you just apply for this amnesty. Unaweka 1 shillings, and then you you can get that amnesty. So it's very important. Just look at even your personal pins, if you have for your brothers, sisters, everybody, you can clear those penalties with the amnesty. For company, you have to do a payment plan, and right now the payment plan, I guess, is just for a month, 2 months until June 30th. For you to pay, you pay the principal amount, then the amnesty, you're given amnesty of penalties and interest. And if you have a principal amount of like, let's say 100,000, and you pay for 20,000, for instance, let me say what, okay. If you're having, for instance, like 3 months, you're not paid principal amount for 3 months. So month 1 is 30,000, month 2 is 20, month 3 is 40. So that is how much? 90. So if you pay principal amount for 30, of course the 30 has penalties and interest. If you pay for 30 and you get amnesty for that 30. So if you pay now for 20, you get amnesty for that. If you pay for 40, you get amnesty for that. So you can get amnesty as you continue paying. So kindly do the payments and enjoy the amnesty. So what are some of the recent cases? I'll mention one. KRA versus Ferradon Associates Limited. So this is a case, and the challenge was that the issue at hand was the deduction of input tax claimed for the period. So the company had claimed purchases or inputs, and the KRA said that they did not have correct documentation. So these are document issue. And the act, this was what was stated, that the case, they argued, so the company argued that it was not obliged to prove genuineness of the ETR provided. It was not the obligation to show. Contended that it had provided or requested document to KRA demonstrating that the expense was incurred legitimately. So when you provide a bank statement when you provide, mostly the provision here was for the invoice, that they have provided an invoice and the invoice has the ATR receipt. So they are certain that once it provided the ATR receipt, it discharges is evidently the burden of proof. And that for them, they were saying, I don't have to go back to this supplier and want to understand if they are legitimate or not, as long as I have a purchase invoice and it has ATR. But KRA argued that the burden of proof lies with the company, and that's the truth. So when you're going through such a case, KRA want to see the proof of payment. They want to see the checks that you pay. They want to see the bank statement with the name. If you're paying RWK and Associates, they want to see that check. They want to see that bank statement that stated that you paid RWK and Associates 500,000. They want to see proof of payment. So when they prove, they can now acquaint you. So for instance, possibly now me, the RWK associate, I did not file. I gave you an ATR. I did not do now the taxes, the correct taxes after. I gave you ATRs. I gave you a purchase invoice. You paid me. Now you've been able to prove. But now, after proving, now KRA can come back to Regina, RWK and Associates, and say, now we have data that you sold ABCD, now we need taxes. Possibly this other company, I don't know that magnitude of that part, possibly the other company did not file the returns. Now they can go back to the other company and want to know, bring all these taxes they are bringing from you to now this company and tell them to pay taxes. But the burden of proof lies with you as a company. And that is where the issue of invalid invoices, a missing trader happened. These were so many issues with us. I don't know if that was the issue, but the burden of proof lies with you as a company. And that's why I'm saying, even with the items, the validity and the genuineness of that invoice lies with you. So when you get that invoice, someone just came from nowhere, they want to sell you something, and you look at it and you say, if I buy this, it's a good raw material. Then before you make payment, look at that invoice. Go to KRA. The iTax portal has places where you can prove. So you can no longer go to KRA and tell them, I got this invoice. I did not know that this person was not legitimate. It's only hearsay. It's only hearsay. That invoice will be disallowed and you're going to pay taxes on it. So the burden of proof lies with you as a company. And if they find a way that they cannot be able to get the person who sold to you, because there are those cases, someone sends you something and they're fictitious, you cannot locate them. Have you ever seen an invoice that doesn't even have a phone number? It doesn't even have a phone, as in, it doesn't have anything. It's just numbers and everything. And yet you pay that person 500, you've been doing business with somebody. If they determine now that they cannot find this person, and for sure, how will they be able to find? If they open the PIN certificate, the numbers that are there, they're not even going through, the email is not going through. They come back to you and they tell you, this person, you knew this person because you're doing this business together, so pay the taxes. So even you working with somebody who is genuine and legal is also a burden to you. So I guess you've been able to understand that one. So bookkeeping and burden of proof is lying with you. So the High Court ruled in favor of KRA, upholding the decision to disallow the input tax claimed. The court emphasized that according to Section 17 of the VAT Act, input tax is permissible only when incurred through the actual purchase of taxable supplies. Okay, so the court found that the company failed to sufficiently demonstrate the evidence of genuine commercial transaction. So that was the genuine part, and then they were told to pay the taxes. Okay, so a different case altogether. So this is the Commissioner KRA versus the company. And these cases, we pick them from Business Daily. These are cases that are on public domain. So the issue here was the interpretation of excise duty. So the excise duty for this case, the excise duty has so many rates. So when you hear of liquor, wine, spirit, all of them have different rates, water. So you can have a company that has like 10 of them, 10 different excise rates because of the 10 products they are doing. So for you even to get the correct rate, you have to go to KRA. So for companies that generate, manufacture especially, for instance, beer. So there's beer, there's spirit, wine. I don't know so many the combinations. So that combination has a different code. So this one, the argument was on the coding, that the code, and these are, they change. The same way Finance Act changes, you hear that the rating changed. So at this particular point, the rate changed. So at the point the rate changed, the company was unable to change the rate, and they did not. The argument first was, by the time they were incorporating, the rates had not changed. There was a day they incorporated and the day they started the business also. So those were the arguments, especially on the change of rates. So this one, the court, the High Court, and the tax, they favored the company because they were able to demonstrate by the time the rates were changing, they had not commenced the operations. And by the time the rates were changed also, they were not, at that particular point, they were not doing that particular product. Okay. So when we go to the courts, and this is the hierarchy, you go to, when I talk about audit, I talk about audit at the station level, at the objection level, tribunal, what you go to the ADR, is a whole process, a whole training. You can win or lose. So for me, when I look at your case, I'm able to judge, are we going to lose or we are going to win because it's a lengthy process. It's a process that has so many meetings, so many back and forth, so many documentation. So is the client able to win? And are we winning against what? So if you, it's something that we can solve. We've seen, for us, we've been able to solve very major cases where at the objection level, you find at the station level, and KRA has a way of really sitting on you. So at the station level, you find a client has been demanded $1 billion. And when we look at the issues, we say we can justify this, we justify. Then at that time when we're going to the objection, we justify. Then the case is reduced from $1 billion to about 300 million. So that time now we object at 300 million. So that now we can go to the tribunal and to the ADR. And you find, according to the documentation, you find that client is being at the end, we are able to justify until the client is given an assessment of even 20 million and even less. So we can be able to judge the case and also be able to, and also understanding the whole process, so that when we are engaging and you are able to understand and we work together. And I always say cases is the documentation. So documentation has to be kept very well. So who are we? I'm closing. I don't know if there are questions. I'll look at the chat. So we are RWK and Associates. If you've not been here before, I said you go ahead and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and every time we have such a training, you can come in and learn. We are having our office in Thika, and we have an office in Westlands Road. And our numbers are there. You can talk to us. And there's something I wanted to introduce to you, bookkeeping masterclass. Last month we did taxation masterclass, and so many of you came on board. And we are going to do that taxation masterclass come July. But for now, we want to do bookkeeping next month. That will be your 6 or 10, 5 days of you learning about bookkeeping. And my interest on bookkeeping is that most of the tax issues that we handle with clients is on documentation. So I'd want you to come and learn what are the books required for tax audits? How do you keep them? How do you keep the ledgers well, the reconciliations, every single thing? And the good side with our training, they are very practical, extremely practical. And I guess on Friday, I'm going to give you the reviews that we got for the masterclass. And I would want you to really come and learn. So I don't know if you are having a chat on the chat. I don't know, my co-host. If you want to come and learn this, there's a number there that you can call. I don't know if the link is available on the chat. My co-host, if the link is available for you to do registration, it is there. Just come, and we give you a certificate for this, and you can still use that certificate to get CPD hours for it. And we are NITA certified for the training. So for this month, we having trainings. So we have a training on the export tax implications in the export business. So we also do sector-based tax webinars. So we've been doing this next week on Wednesday. So if you're in this business, export business, I'll be training you about everything about taxes and the implications. So just come learn, and it will be very helpful for your business. Then on Friday, we'll learn about e-teams, understanding e-teams. This will be on Friday, and I want you to come and learn. I will train everything from where we started, ETR to teams to e-teams to every single formula. Every single thing, I'll train you on e-teams on Friday. It will be 2 hours, so you have a lengthy time to learn more. So we are RWK and Associates. You can also follow me. You can find me on LinkedIn and on Facebook. You can find Regina Kengori CPAK, and you can follow every time we have something new. You can always see, and you can also see much more that I do on there. We have several services. We have internal audits that you can. We can do an internal audit for your organization, where this is a quarterly review of the accounting system that you have, bank reconciliation, internal controls. We help you do tax health check, management report for the period. We do a payroll review, the procurement and the reconciliation, payables and receivables reconciliation. With the e-teams and the issues that are happening, the first thing for you to do is to have correct records. The times that we would wait until a full year, then during audit is the time you're calling the auditor. They are long gone. Now you need to put everything together. And even if you're having accountants in the office, this is very important for you. Just an extra eye that everything is on order. The accounting software is okay. The balance, the ledgers in the system, they are okay. The bank reconciliation have been done, and so many issues that we help you do. And we are very affordable for this. We also do bookkeeping. If you want us to enhance your bookkeeping, possibly you don't have an accountant, or you have an accountant who is overwhelmed. Possibly they are doing a lot of daily works, invoicing. So we help you do management report on a monthly basis, filing of the returns, reconciliation, payroll, and trial balances, cost management. We have a lot of costing right now. So we help you do that. So we have a whole department of bookkeeping, a whole department of internal controls. Tax services, this is my area of interest. So I'm able to help you, especially with tax cases at the KRA, and even representing you at the ADR, at the tribunal objection level, tax case that you're having, and tax health check. I would really want you to do a tax health check. You might not be having issues, you've not had issues anywhere, but you want to see how your tax issues you've been doing, how you can improve, how you can be able to be more compliant. So this is a tax health check. We do the past 2 months, 2 years, sorry. We look at all your tax checks, and we help you do tax planning. So you can also talk to us. It is very practical. So before I move out of there, let me look now at your charts. I'll be just talking without looking. I don't know, my co-host, were the charts available? I don't know, leo items imetutenda ama what is going on? Okay. So for you who are expert of teams, I guess I don't know. Well, question and answer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Okay. But last month I asked you if we go back to Zoom, but you said Teams is the way to go. So we'll hack it. We'll work on it until we hack it. And for eTeams on Friday, we'll be talking about the background of eTeams, the overview of eTeams, types of eTeams. Some of you keep asking me which teams, and by the way, eTeams is requiring some training. There are people who are unable to input data. It's a point of sale. It's web-based. And I really want you to come, because you have to input your stocks there. You have to input your stocks there. So, and I'll show you the implication of you having the stocks there. Because you can not purchase and not sell. So you cannot have so many purchases and you're not selling. So KRA is not just interested on looking at your sales, they also want to monitor your stocks. So kuna mahali, I'll show you how the implication of the whole thing. So that when you're doing such things, when you're buying and you're telling the person where you're buying from, give me that invoice. And because that's what we do, you make sure that your purchases, you find some of us, our purchases are so high and our sales are very small. eTeams itatushika. Because at the end of the year, because of those purchases you've been doing, KRA is going to lump all your purchases, and they can even pick one item, one of your major items. Sini hardware, we see cement, Baburi or Savannah is always selling to you. But on your side, we cannot see the sales. They will lump and they will tell you, Savannah, according to our eTeams calculations, Savannah have sold you 1,000 bags the whole year. But on your side, we can see 100 bags. So why is it 900 bags? Because the point of sale, the eTeams, you have to specify the item that you're selling. So that's a tester for Friday. So I'll talk about that. So let me look at your questions. Let me look at your questions. If my organization offers to pay for its online training for staff, do you provide an items invoice? Yes, we do. If the training is from us, yes, we do. Invite me on a training. Okay. Good morning, Regina. I have a question. Ideal. Okay. So some of you have seen that they have been answered. Ideal return on investment for business. Okay. What is the best way to resolve this? A supplier raise zero rated invoice instead of general rated invoice before they issue the credit note and raise an invoice. Okay. Why did they issue a zero rated? So if they issued a zero rated and you notice, tell them issue a credit note and issue an the zero rated. First of all, was whatever you bought zero rated. First of all, if it is zero rated, the iTax portal has the zero rated section. So it has the standard rated, exempt, and a zero. For instance, if you're in a wholesale food stuff, you find their food stuff that are 16%, like cooking oil. You find there are others that are exempted, and you find like flour, you'll find others that are zero rated. So for that person, they're supposed to file on those categories. And when they're issuing even their items, they're supposed to issue that items in those three categories. So was it zero rated? Was it supposed to be there? If it was not supposed to be there, it was an error, or they were avoiding to pay taxes, return it back to them. Tell them, issue a credit note and issue me a fresh invoice. The bad side is that when they issue the invoice, they're going to issue the invoice for this month. So if you wanted for last month, you're going to lose that input for last month, but you're going to gain it for this month. So, and that's why I'm insisting, just check them as you move, because when the month is closed, right, like now we close March, yet we are doing filing for March. If you notice there is a problem, that person cannot help you, because these items, you cannot backdate it. You have to issue a credit note, then you reinvoice again, and you're going to reinvoice this month now. So very important to just monitor every day. Just monitor every day your transactions. That's for the boda guys need to register for it. So if you're doing boda, so your company and you've called the boda person, possibly you sent them, they're running errands for you. So you've sent them somewhere, you're paying them 500,000. 500 shillings. They can sign a petty cash. eTeams is not working on salaries, wages, and some of those allowances. This is something that you've done an allowance to this person. So the match that I know KRA keep revising some things. They can even get to a point to tell them, kuna items light, mwambie afanye hiyo items invoice. But at the moment, let them sign a petty cash. Hello, an organization of items will be okay. Hello, for an organization who onboarded teams, will there be a day that KRA will need it to onboard? Yes. And this one, I prophesy. Before this month is over, all of us, even those ones on teams, will go to eTeams. And I'll share on Friday the difference between the two. I'll share the difference between the two. And for you, actually, if you find most of the teams machine, they are failing. If you not noticed, so many are telling me iko na shida, and right now you cannot get a Teams machine. So if it is not working, you have to get a eTIMS machine. So I foresee the reason why KRA has not insisted that if you have TIMS, you onboard eTIMS is because there was a cost implication. We bought those things. So there was a cost implication. So I'm very sure before 1 year is over of using TIMS, they're going to insist that all of us should be on TIMS, on eTIMS. So do we still have 6-month period for the VAT? Yes, we still have as before, but now the system is speaking. So why would you have a purchase and you don't want to use it? So the 6-month period, the act has not changed on that. But the system, the auto-population system is picking. It is picking your full data. It is picking your full purchases from everywhere. So I guess with that, today I'm not going to open for questions. Come on Friday, I'll open where we can have some questions. For now, I've just answered a few. I can see some of you have been answered. So if you want to do the bookkeeping, you can talk to us. It is going to be very practical, and you're going to really learn a lot. Also, we have a booking. If you want to learn about eTIMS, if you want to be, because eTIMS is require a bit of training to input the data to everything. I guess the department is charging very small fee for you to be able to understand it, to incorporate, to understand. There is integration. I will talk about integration on Friday. And you can talk to us. And then if you have something that you just wanted to ask, there's a calendar you can do a free booking, free consultation. I guess on my chat, my co-host has indicated there's a booking, free booking. Free booking on, and you can talk to us on us. The team will call you for a Zoom call, and we can talk. If you need to talk to me, you can find the number 0728. You can call and request to talk to me. I'll still talk to you. So with that, I say thank you so much. I hope that the eTIMS will work, the WebEx will, the Teams will work much better on Friday. And I thank you for coming on board. This conversation we had today was live on YouTube. It was live on YouTube. So when you go to our Facebook page, you can see there was a link directing you to the YouTube. So you can listen again and where you did not able to understand and understand better. And then see you on Wednesday for exports. If you're in export business and if you know somebody who is doing export, and see you on Friday for eTIMS, understanding eTIMS. So we'll talk in length, everything. We'll really talk and practicals. I'll do a bit of our practicals on Friday in eTIMS. So with that, I say thank you so much. God bless you. Have a lovely Friday. Enjoy yourself. And yes, good afternoon.